everyone in podcast listening land. I'm Karen Devaney.
And I'm Ann Varner.
And we're sisters.
Welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder, where we'll discuss
and probably inappropriately laugh about and comment on.
Yep, one of our favorite subjects,
murder. Oh, and we love to bake. And why not combine our two favorite subjects?
Baking
and killers.
Hey y'all, it's Ann Varner. I want to tell you about a podcast I've been listening to called Clean Beauty Podcast. It's a podcast hosted by Cassandra McClure, who's a former multi-award-winning celebrity makeup artist. She's also an educator and a business mentor. Cassandra uses her podcast to educate consumers on high-performing products, quality ingredients, laws, health risks, and environmental impacts of the beauty industry. She has fantastic guests and tons of important information for people like you and me. So if you want more information on what goes into your beauty products like makeup, shampoo, lotions, even laundry detergent, you should check out Cassandra's podcast, Clean Beauty. Also, find her on Instagram. That's Clean Beauty Podcast. You won't be sorry you tuned in. Trust me.
Well, welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder Podcast. This is one of the episodes that we call Anything But Murder, Shorty.
And we have a special guest with us here today. It's our friend Stephanie.
Yay, Stephanie.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Berg. It's so great to be here. I thought we were talking about murder up until just a second ago.
Surprise. No.
I like to keep you on the edge of your seat.
You two are good at that.
Stephanie has been so kind enough to invite us into her home.
Yes,
so that we
which
can
she'll
talk
be
to her.
saging afterwards. Yeah. To get this energy right the heck out that door. So it's okay.
So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Okay.
What do you do?
Well, currently, in this iteration, I am a certified holistic life coach.
Love it.
An embodiment teacher.
I like that.
I am a breathwork facilitator and a mindful movement guide. And all of that is just a fancy way of saying I help people connect back home to themselves through their bodies.
Oh, wow.
And I've been doing this work for about 7 years. Before that, I was a professional ballet dancer. So I had a really interesting journey in that career of healing and a lot of issues with my body and body image. So that's really kind of informed the work that I do now. And the work that I do now is pretty experiential. So I do a lot of in-person events. I lead retreats, and I do some online stuff too, as well as I do group programs online and in person. And yeah.
So you were telling us that you just got back from Mexico.
Yeah.
What were you doing down there?
So I was actually supporting a friend of mine who was leading a retreat and teaching at her retreat in Mexico. So there were about 20 people there. And we did a variety of things throughout the week. Essentially, like what I started to realize while we were there, I hope it's okay if I share this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's what you're here for.
Yes. I think sometimes people can look at this wellness culture, and there's a lot of people doing it in different ways, but people have even asked me, like, what is this, like, rich white women getting together and going to a luxury accommodation type of place and just like finding themselves. And I've had some judgments about that too, because I see a lot of that surface level work, and there can be some like cultural appropriation that goes into this quote unquote conscious travel. But I had a really powerful awareness come through while I was in Mexico that this work is really, really important on a number of levels. And I'll just ramble a little bit about
ramble away. We are both like,
we love to hear other people's voices. We constantly just hear ours.
I love it. Well, thanks for letting me share. But these experiences, I believe, are really about social change. So on the day-to-day, we're really separate. We're really isolated. We're in our houses by ourselves. We don't live in communities in the way that we used to.
That's very true.
Way back, our ancestors did. So when people go on these retreats, often there's an awareness of self. They have an intention that they're there just for them, whether that's to receive some healing, to have some time away from their daily life, to like soul searching type of work. But ultimately they're there for a personal intention. But then this other really beautiful thing starts to happen where they kind of start to evaluate how they fit into a group on a wider scale,
right.
Which can bring up a lot of people's stuff, you know, like how do I fit? Is it okay for me to be just me? Like I'm not faced with having to live in community in my daily life. So like this person is really extroverted, but I'm kind of quiet and shy. Like I still belong in this group just as much as everybody else does.
Sure.
So to be able to share that within a group and also to kind of lean into it, to really connect to your unique expression of who you really are and let that be more than okay.
Yes.
So there's that element where it's like finding self and then also finding self within a group and how they fit within the group. And then beyond that is like connecting back to the earth and to the planet. Because in Mexico, we were outside the whole week. Obviously, we weren't sleeping outside. We had our own.
Thank God.
I
crocodiles.
was thinking about it.
I'm like, I'm out. I can't do the outdoors.
No, but we had our rooms that we were sleeping in. But for the most part, we were outside. We were moving our bodies outside. We were spending time with one another outside, laying on the earth, being surrounded by the elements. And really, nature is such a great equalizer. It really helps us to diminish stress and just remember that we're part of something greater. And a lot of us don't have that in our daily lives. I mean, there are days when I'm like behind the computer for the majority of the day. And it's like, realize like my body doesn't like that. I feel more tense and anxious and I might be more mentally stressed as a result of that. So having that remembering of what it's like to be in nature, how much love there is from the planet towards us and how we really are so deeply connected to the seasons, the cycles, the rhythms. And then also in terms of travel and going to these different places. I love going to Central America and South America. I'm taking a group to Peru in May. And Costa Rica in August. And part of that is really back to that appropriation piece. People are often like, well, isn't that, kind of like of the colonizer mentality where you're going to these places as a white person and taking those people's traditions. And I can see that. And there are people that are not as mindful in their and the way that they travel and could just, we're going to try on these traditions as our own, but we don't do that. I really look at it as we travel to these different places so that we can learn from the elders who never forgot what it's like to be connected to oneself, to live in community with other people, to live in cycles and rhythms, in connection and harmony with the planet. And so I try to find elders in those communities that are still deeply connected to the lineage of their ancestors and all of those beautiful ways that really this spiritual practice is a way of life. They're really living that harmony with oneself, with each other, and with the earth.
Yeah, and I think in our country, in our culture today, we are so technology driven.
Yes.
And I honestly think that if there's not an app out there that reminds you to go outdoors, that some people will never see the outdoors unless they're just going to work.
Yeah.
And I also see people that travel for the Facebook experience, which to me is very surface. Like if you're so busy doing that, then you're not getting out of it what that travel experience is supposed to give you.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're doing is the antithesis of all of that, which I think is really great. And it's good for people. It's good for people to shed the societal, I guess, outer edge of us.
100%.
And then go where they do. I mean, we are still a very young country.
Yeah.
So when you go back to some of these countries where they've been around a lot longer than us, you are able to get in touch with some history that goes so far beyond where we're babies.
Yeah.
If you compare us to their culture.
Totally.
And our culture is fast paced and changing, but there's so many cultures around the world that they're thousands of years older than us, and yet they're not this fast-paced changing culture. They're still rooted in that original culture. And what an experience that must be. I know my daughter went to Ireland when she was just out of college, and it was the first time she had been out of our country. And the thing that really stuck with her was this world is so vast, and we only see such a small part of it. Right. And it was something for her to sit in a chapel or in a church that was there so far before our country was ever found.
Right.
I mean, to get in touch with that. And so I think the only other way that you could do that in this country is to go to Native Americans, because
Right.
they were here way before we colonized
Right.
this area.
Right.
And those people are not easily found.
Right. Well, we haven't treated them well.
We don't treat them
and
well.
we're still not.
And
really.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so what's the motivation for them to share any of that with us? There is little.
Right, exactly. And I will say, in Mexico, we did a traditional temazcal, which is like a sweat lodge. It was a really beautiful experience. And it's something that they do in community to really spiritually cleanse and connect as a community. And the elder that we worked with, his name was Marzo, and he shared that tradition with so much love and acceptance and really open arms.
Right.
And I just wept. Like, I wept witnessing him doing so, because I would be jaded, honestly.
Sure.
Especially now with the things, and this might be edgy to talk about, but with, the way things are going in our country and the way that we are treating immigrants,
Sure.
There's still such an open-heartedness, and he kept saying, we are all brothers and sisters, and we've forgotten that, we really and truly have.
Yes. And it's difficult to reconnect with that.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're doing is great. But can you tell me a little bit about your breath work? I'm really interested in this whole breathing situation.
Breathing is good.
Yes,
breathing
I
is
know
good.
breathing is good.
And we breathe.
I mean, I try every day to breathe, like to get my breath in. I will tell you that I'm not always good at it.
Yes.
But I would certainly like to understand the breath work situation.
And I can tell you there are many times during the day where I do deep breathing.
You do?
I do.
Is that just part of your asthma? Like when you take your inhaler?
No. I mean, I
Okay.
do deep breathing with the asthma, but in addition to that, if I'm super frustrated, sometimes rather than scream at people through my car window, I take a deep breath.
See,
sometimes after I scream at people, I take a deep breath.
You know what's crazy is I take a deep breath in order to scream at the people.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to
I feel like we're already
bring
doing
up
the
my
breath
disappointment in the way they're driving, or perhaps the way they're in my way when I'm walking.
Yes. So we might be really good in your breathwork class.
Oh, you all would be great. And actually, we sometimes do yell in the breathwork, too.
Oh, I could do that. I'm a good yeller. Ask my children. Great at yelling. Yes. And you could even ask my dogs, because I do tend to raise my voice at them sometimes. And when I do, I feel myself take a deep breath and then give it to them.
And then you feel better.
Yes.
I do. And I don't think they do. And at that moment, I am living my life and my truth, and it's not about them.
That's true.
Well, so,
And I don't think that we would be welcome in a group breath work.
Oh, no,
but
you
I would
absolutely
certainly
would.
love to do one like one-on-one or a two-on-one.
Or
fully.
That's weird.
Yes. No.
We're not coming on to you in any way.
No.
And I don't want to do anything like that. Like when my sister's around, not that I would do that. Okay, let's just back up. Tell us about your breast work. Breath work.
My breath work.
Yes.
Well, it's so interesting that you're mentioning yelling. I think it's really important to...
Is it important to yell? Because I am killing it.
It is important to yell. Well, so number one, our bodies, yes, we detox with like our liver and our skin and all of that. But emotionally speaking, our bodies and our emotional bodies detoxify through sound.
Oh, look
through
at that.
breath.
Wow.
Through emotion.
Okay.
And
we are so detox.
I didn't realize I was so forward thinking.
Yes.
But look at me.
Yes, look at you go.
I know.
And as the Mexican elder I was just talking about said during that sweat lodge, he was inviting us to like howl and make noise and yell. And he
Howl?
said, yes.
Oh, that's a new
and
one.
he said it liberates many blocked emotions.
Nice.
That's interesting. So the whole sweat lodge thing,
Yes.
I run one of those internally every day.
Yeah.
I'm in my 50s.
Yes.
And so I am always running a sweat lodge.
Yeah.
So no need for me to go share that with a community.
No.
Because I mean, is there an air conditioning running anywhere in that sweat lodge?
Oh, no, it's sweating.
No.
You're sweating.
That's not me.
I become really angry when I sweat. Like it makes me very mad.
Well, maybe that's your emotions coming out. So maybe next time you get mad, you should just yell about it.
Well,
just
I do.
howl.
Turn the damn air conditioner down.
No, but I'm like, just give it a guttural howl. And then everybody be like, oh, she's cooling off.
She's cooling off.
She's cooling off. That's all. Mm-hmm. I think
there it
should.
is.
All right.
There it is.
Somebody make me the T-shirt. I'm wearing it.
I'm wearing it too.
You two are hilarious.
So
breath work. Okay,
back to
breath work. So breath work is, again, a really old tradition. The type of breath work that I facilitate is known as pranayama yoga. Oh. So in yoga, pranayama is any type of breathing, essentially. And this is a particular breath pattern that just by using your breath in a rhythmic way, it acts as an active meditation. So in terms of the active meditation, your mind is focusing on each breath. So, I know you all have meditated before.
Yes, and it also reminds me of Lamaze a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Because you are focused on breathing and not the fact that they're driving a freight train out your very innards.
Dear heavens.
So I get that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that definitely
gives you something to focus
think
on.
About besides the ripping of your body.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great way.
Well, there's no ripping of your body in this particular
Thank God.
breath work.
I'm ripped enough.
But in terms of beyond a similar scale is just how busy our minds can be and how that can create a lot of not only disconnect, but a lot of problems for us physically and mentally and emotionally and around us, because we do spend a lot of times in our head.
Yeah.
So in terms of labor, you're going through a process where your body, you can't really ignore your body. You are in it.
You're
in it.
Yeah.
And you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
You can't go, time out, I'm going to walk away and come back tomorrow.
No.
You've
got to find a way through it.
You do.
Yeah. And obviously, I've never been through labor personally, so I don't know about Lamaze, but it sounds similar in the sense that it helps you to kind of have some way to move that pain and that energy. So similarly, breath work is something that people tend to have a lot of strong emotional releases, or they have really profound clarity and awareness. People will connect to not only their own spirit, but the spirit of past loved ones. And,
that's awesome.
There's a lot of really beautiful things that can occur just in one session when we use the breath through a lot of the stuckness that happens emotionally, energetically. Do you have any questions about it that I could answer?
I mean, I like what you're saying. I like what you're putting out there. Mm-hmm. I definitely can see some huge benefits for it. But my question is, as a female in my very, very early...
Oh, my gosh.
Early mid-50s.
Early mid-50s.
Let's just say in my 50. I'm in my 50. Is there hope? For I'm in front of you right now. Here I am. You know me.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. Are you that good to make me connect to something other than my brain trash? So I got a lot of brain trash.
Well, let's say you had somebody call you and say, "Hey, I hear you do this life coaching, breath work. You want to meet with me and my sister?" And then we show up. Right. What are you going to think?
Well, the thing about the two of you that I love so much is that, yes, there's this beautiful irreverence, which I adore.
Our mother hates it. Just putting it out there.
Somehow she's woven that in. She has a hand in that in some way.
Good. We can blame her for it. Super.
But the thing also that I love so much about the two of you is that you're so willing. Right?
We are willing.
Oh, yes.
I wonder if
not easy, but willing.
But willing. And that's, it's not about how good I am, unfortunately. I'm only as good as the willingness of my clients, right?
Oh.
So I can't, and I tell people this all the time, I can't do the work for you. And I'm not going to.
You can't breathe for me.
I'm doing my own freaking work, So if
that
you
sounds a little selfish, but I'm gonna give it to you.
If you have even slightest willingness, I can work with that.
All right.
That gives us a little bit of glimmer of hope.
There could be hope.
There could be.
Yeah. It doesn't mean it has to be perfect. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy all the time, but just having the willingness and the devotion to yourself is the
Well,
ultimate.
we're always looking for ways to improve ourselves.
Oh gosh, because we are so low at the bottom rung that we know there's only room for improvement.
And here's the thing.
We're always looking to improve upon ourselves. And because she's my sister, I kind of want to improve on her too.
Well, I'm kind of the mindset that who each of us is actually really perfect. So it's not about fixing or improving or changing.
No wonder you like us.
It's not about fixing, improving, or changing. That's all the ego, right? That's all your egos. Like, oh, something's wrong. I got to do more. I've got to work harder. No, it's who are you really? Who are you really beyond all of the BS, the identities, the masks,
some true soul searching?
Yeah, like
I'm going to tell you, I did soul searching, and then my soul turned around and said, "Please stop following me." And I said, "Not a problem." And then we just have come to this agreement that we're going to love each other from afar.
oh,
So, I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, my soul said, "Look, back it up. You're too close."
your soul loves you no matter what.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Look at
she
us.
did it with a smile.
She did. She's so loving and accepting.
You.
That's why I love you so much.
Yes.
From the first day in Carol's class where we met you, you had this openness of, I love you. I love what's in front of me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's never happened.
Like, who are these people, right?
I think that is actually the first time I have experienced going into a situation where I knew nobody and yet came out of there severely bonded to 99.9% of who we met.
Yeah.
What a journey that was.
Amazing experience.
And have kept in touch with so many of our class, which was how many years ago? I don't even know, because I am in my 50s and I don't remember things.
It was like
I'm in my
2 years, 2 or 3 years.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But it seems like yesterday.
I know.
It really does. It
I
seems
learned
like
so
yesterday.
much through that and through like playing with all of you too. Like meeting you all.
Yes.
It really has been.
We've had
It
some-
was, for me,
Stephanie's
it was.
read for me a couple of times.
Stephanie has tried to read for me.
All right. You're
I think you're in the car.
Yes, and I am a challenge. I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie. And everybody that reads me, even when they've never met me before, they go, "No, gosh, you're challenging."
Yeah.
So it's
Why do you
know
think
why?
that is?
Because my soul said we're going to love each other from afar. And so when they're talking to me, they may not be in touch with my innards.
The only person that can really read her is me.
Yes, it is very true.
And
It's
you're
me. And I
both
try-
so intuitive.
I try really hard not to because I don't want to invade her privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I am a person
we
of
can
many
call each
walls.
other on our
They're decorated
BS.
very pretty, and they're of all different materials and textures because I love that. But I have many walls, and I have many selves that I present in whatever situation I'm in. So it is very difficult for me to know me, the real me, and be accepting of the real me.
Yeah.
So
and I'm the opposite. I'm an open book.
she's like,
I
put
wear my
myself out
emotions
there.
on my sleeve.
Yes.
You know me. You know me.
Yeah.
There's just no, I can't hide it. Even if I try to hide it, I can't.
Yeah.
So,
And that's like one of the most beautiful things about just being human is what makes us us, you know, and like, you know, those different ways that we do express or don't express.
Exactly.
Or
I think I'm
hide.
learning that imperfections are actually what make you perfect.
Yes.
Because perfection is not real. And I have to remember that. And it's hard to remember that because I don't measure up to my own perfection standards.
Oh, yeah.
And so to try to let that go, it's really difficult. And I do that through humor.
I hear you. I've been on a journey of healing perfectionism for a long time. And with my ballet background, like that was really, you know, I mean,
I'm
all
sure it
about
was
perfection.
it
intense.
was so intense. And then really like what I'm starting to see more and more as I've been doing my own work and healing and, you know, just like working with so many women over the years, it's really like nobody does you better than you.
Exactly.
But we're constantly like looking at these ideals that our society feeds to us, especially as women. I know men have it too, but I'm a woman and I'm more acquainted with our, like, I work with women, I'm more acquainted with our challenges and struggles, but we're not taught to really embrace our differences
Absolutely
as unique,
not.
you
No.
know? And like, you think about the messaging that so many little kids get when they're growing up, like, you're too much, you're too loud, you're too different. It's not okay for you to have a big energy. It's not okay for you to be quiet and shy. It's like, so then we start to try to change who we really are.
And then you lose sight of who you are. You yourself can't figure it out because you've tried to change, in so many of those situations to fit some standard or some expectation.
Totally. And then for women too, we become mothers and then it's all about somebody else.
Yes.
And so it becomes this kind of ripple effect where we're living in a time, especially in our country, where there's a lot more mental health. It's a mental health breakdown, more of a mental health crises. And a lot of that is, in my opinion, there are many layers of it, but not really having that access to who we really are. We're taught a lot of ways to diminish that or to kind of train it out of ourselves.
Sure.
And you think about just the way our daily lives are structured from the time we're 5 and we start school. If you go to a traditional school versus a homeschool, you get out of bed, your nervous system is on high alert to the alarm clock, rush, get to school, and then sit at a desk all day. You're not allowed to be wild and free and play, And we still have that within us as adults now, like where we need to play, we need to find fun and joy. And so much of our existence is about work, productivity, our society.
And then we're defined by that in so many ways. You're defined by what do you do for a living? How successful are you? How long have you been doing it? How much money do you make? How are you recognized in your workforce?
Exactly.
And letting go of that and trying to bring yourself to a place where work is not the forefront is really difficult.
Yeah.
And I think until I got to be in my 50, I didn't get it. And I defined my success in work. Yeah. And I really have had to step back to say, what is success? Because it's just a word. Yeah. And it's not all about work. And the person you are at work, you work so that you can sustain the life that you want.
Right.
And so I think for me, it was just the opposite.
Totally. Because you're what you just said, you're a person first, right? You want to have a life that you love and enjoy, but because of capitalistic ways, it's like work is the primary focus. Yeah. And our relationships, our health, everything else, our spirituality, a lot of that can kind of fall by the wayside because it's this ever growing, ever present thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not perfect. I definitely am.
I just think that in our society, it is very prevalent.
Yeah.
And so I even mentioned to my daughter the other day, I really wish that I had stayed home with my children. And she laughed and said, you would have never made it because you were, from the time I was born, I know you were very career driven and you would have been miserable at home. And so she said, don't think for a minute that I'm sitting here thinking I had this horrible childhood because my mother didn't stay home with me, because you would have been horrible. Horrible. Because you would have been so unhappy with yourself. And I said, that's actually true. So why am I so regretful of not staying home with my kids when my kids are like, you were exactly where you needed to be?
Yeah. So, it's like a healthy balance, It's like just finding a way that is, I don't know if balance truly exists.
I'm not sure either. I honestly think we're always shifting. It's like we are standing on very fine sand. That's always, so we're always trying to balance, but I don't think I've ever met the person that's got the perfect.
But I do think though, for both of us anyway, when we hit that 50 number, we somehow gave up a lot of the, we have to be a certain way concept. And with that, we seem to be balancing much better now than we did before.
Absolutely. And I think we accept ourselves a lot more because I think when you hit the 50, I think what happens is it hits you square in the head. And then all of a sudden, I had to take stock and say, do I want to struggle for the next 50 years the way I struggled my first 50?
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
And that struggle was all internal.
Yeah.
It was all, and that's what I've had to come to grips with it wasn't the world struggling with me. It was me struggling with me. Yeah. So now I got to let that go, and I got to not worry about what people think because our dad, God rest his soul, used to say you can please some of the people all of the time or all of the people some of the time, but you're never going to please them all at once.
Yeah.
And I think in that mantra, there is really a gem of wisdom in there because, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Who are you trying to please?
Yeah. It's like, what is actually true for you,
Sure.
as an individual. And from there, like letting that lead, not from a place of selfishness, but we have to be a little selfish because nobody else is going to do it for us.
Right.
Yes.
It's really interesting to hear you talking about 50. I just turned 40 in December.
And
All
you look like you're a day over 23.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So, yeah.
stop.
We're gonna bottle up whatever regimen you're doing, and we're gonna apply it to our 50.
No, to our 50. But everybody's been telling me about like what the decade of 40 holds, and like about giving a whole lot less F's. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's good to know that there's even more of that to come.
My kids gave me a pair of socks that have on the front of it, it's like a big pink daisy that comes up your ankle, and it says "Give no shits," and on the bottom it says "Give no F's," but it's actually spelled out. And I love wearing those to work. Just those socks alone remind me you don't have to give a shit. You really don't. Go do your work and do your best work, but then don't let that define you, and don't be wrapped up in that rat race of I've got to have this recognition or I've got to be better than this person, or just let it be.
Because it will all come. It will all come
there's
if you
enough
go
for
in and apply
everybody.
yourself and you do your work and you are dedicated to your work, then all of the notoriety or whatever, it's all going to come.
And even if it doesn't, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if I have something written on my tombstone about me working, I'm going to be pissed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's not what I want to leave when I leave this planet.
Exactly.
So I got to figure out something better. I've tried to learn at work. I have my job and I bring something to the table. That's why I'm there. Everybody brings something, and we're all in different places in our journey.
Right.
And it's okay if I'm not at the front of the line.
Right.
Somebody's got to be not the front.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And just kind of go with it. Just go be your best self. And also try to, while I'm doing this work, try to have one positive impact on one person that day. Mm-hmm. And I think that gives me a lot more meaning to why I'm there than the spreadsheets that I do.
Yes.
Look at that. It's so deep.
Oh my gosh. Look at very deep. Very deep.
It's so deep. I think I might have a scar.
Yeah. So let's talk about how people will find you if they're interested in doing breath work or life coaching or movement. We didn't even talk about the body movement because
I just can't even go there with myself.
I think that one of you, I won't say who, but I think one of you is supposed to come to one of my dance classes.
Well, I've thought about it, but every time I think I'm going to do it, I just can't. And so I
can't or won't.
Can't. It's not that I won't, because I can't. I'm holding myself back.
Let's commit that at some point this year, you and I will take one of the dance classes.
We will do a dance class
it together
with Stephanie.
I would.
Are you okay with that?
I would love
if we come together. That's a lot of energy in one room.
Listen, I welcome all of you.
Okay.
Exactly as you are.
Okay, we'll do
without a doubt.
We will make.
And I think you all would love that class so much.
You think so?
I think you would.
Okay.
We have women of, I think it's 18 and up, so not all ages, but women from, mid to late 20s all the way up to 70s. It's different body types. It's different skin colors. We welcome anyone that identifies as woman. Mm-hmm. So, that can be people in transition or really having a different expression of their femininity. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazing class. It's like, we call it kind of like shamanic work to pop music.
Oh,
so it's really like emotional therapy in a way too. And I have a lot of women that keep coming back, because it's not about how it looks. It's not about performing. It's not about doing it right or wrong. It's really about like how it feels to be in your body and to move in the way that your body wants to move.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
Are there mirrors involved? Is there a mirror? Because I have an issue with the mirror.
Oh, I hear you.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
I really hear you.
I will come, and if there is a mirror, just know I'm going to turn my back on it.
So the beautiful thing, there is a mirror at the studio that I rent, mm-hmm. and we also I encourage everyone to not only turn their backs to it,
Okay.
but we typically will do the class at night when it's darker outside.
Okay.
And then we lower the lights a lot so that you
Okay.
aren't distracted by the mirror.
Good.
And then really I invite women to close their eyes as much as possible, especially in the beginning, so that they can get out of their head. It's another active meditation. It's a moving meditation. So again, it's really about how it feels. And so for some women, they find it's easier to access that by keeping their eyes closed.
Okay.
By doing like not a sensory deprivation, because it's certainly not that. There's music and things like that, but having the visual element, kind of turned down a bit, so that you can get out of your head. And that's why so many people are afraid of dancing, is because they're like, oh, well, I'm going to look weird. I'm going to look awkward. I'm not going to look the way I'm supposed to. But I mean, listen, I was scared to death to take this class the first time when I did. And I have a background in dance.
Oh.
But I was just so I was someone who never wanted to dance at weddings or dance at a club, because I just felt really self-conscious. And with my ballet training, it was supposed to look a certain way.
Sure.
And so I was kind of terrified of the freedom of what if I look ridiculous? And people would say things like, oh, if I did dance, oh, I thought you're a dancer. I thought you're supposed to be able to dance a certain way.
I hope you broke.
Well, I stopped dancing.
Oh.
I just stopped dancing in public. And so this class, actually, the first time I tried it, I was so terrified, like I said, and I had such a freeing experience. And now I will dance really anywhere.
All
and,
right.
and I don't give a shit. And sometimes it looks ridiculous.
I mean, the floor is yours, babe.
Sometimes
Ian can hum a little ditty
Let's
for
see
you.
it. Let's see it.
But it's not about, I don't care what I look like anymore. It's about the joy of expression through my body. And that's, and dance has always been a really special medicine for me. And when I became a professional, sort of that world kind of poisoned it a little bit.
Sure.
It wasn't about the expression anymore, the joy or the creativity. It was about doing it right versus doing it wrong.
And doing it for someone else versus doing it for yourself.
Yeah. So this class really reclaims that.
Okay.
So that women can have an experience of what it's like.
Well, we will wear our Depends.
I'm going to come pick you all up. I'm going to kidnap you and bring you to.
So no, I'm saying let's say by May. We're going to do this by May.
The next one's in March.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not saying we're going to do that one. I'm saying we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. But we will commit to doing one.
Yes. Before May, we will. And I think that we could do some breath work with you as well.
Definitely.
My question is, can I do that in bed? Do I have to be in a certain setting? Can I lay in bed and do the breath work that you teach?
Yeah.
Is that really, if I'm Netflixing, and I'm in bed and I'm watching some of my shows, if I just took a pause, could I do some breath work?
You could.
Okay.
You could. And actually I have a virtual circle that's this week.
Oh, wow.
If you all want to come to that. Yeah. So you can do it
in the comfort of your own home.
Exactly.
Okay.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good place for me to start.
Yeah. You
in the privacy of my home.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back and say, you let us know how can people find you?
Definitely.
People can find me at my website, StephanieBergCoaching.com. So
we'll put it.
Okay,
we'll put it when we drop this episode. We will make sure we put your contact information. But
yeah.
I do want you to say it too.
So people can find me at StephanieBergCoaching.com. That's my website.
Okay.
Berg is BURG, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. Or you can always email support@StephanieBergCoaching.com.
Perfect.
And I'll be at
wonderful.
some locally, some different spaces around town hosting events and things like that. I've got another retreat coming up soon.
Awesome.
Good. Okay, well, this has been so
nice. This has been amazing.
This has been such a great break from murder.
Yes.
I'm so excited for you all.
Nobody killed anybody.
Well, my cats are known for murdering snakes and birds and bringing them into the house, but that's probably a little different.
That's a little different.
Very thrilled that didn't happen.
I am so thrilled because this would have gone a whole different way. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a nature person. I respect nature. I think it's a wonderful thing, but I don't want it in my presence.
I don't want dead nature in my
No.
presence either, but it's an offering a lot of times.
It is an offering.
We actually they brought a snake in a few months ago and it was still alive.
Oh, no.
And it moved so fast.
No.
It moved
No.
so fast it slithered into that vent back there.
No.
Oh, no.
And we've never found it.
Okay, we got to wrap
So
it
we're
up.
going to wrap this up. We're going to get going because I feel like I might be sitting on a snake. And hey, Katie, you need to bring your friend Fred over here to find her snake.
All right,
Anyway,
you guys
this
have
has
a
been
great
such a
week.
blessing. Everybody stay sweet and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.